Ladies and gentlemen, esteemed guests and friends, today I am honored to speak to you about something that resonates deeply with each of us, no matter where we come from, what we have been through, or where we are headed. Let me tell you something that is profoundly simple, yet incredibly difficult to grasp. Peace begins within you. That might sound like a platitude or a motivational cliche, but it is far from that. True peace is not something that can be attained through external circumstances or material success. It is not something you can buy, not something you can force, and certainly not something that can be given to you by anyone else. Peace is a state of mind and heart, a way of living that emerges from your inner world, regardless of the chaos surrounding you. The world we live in, as you know, is filled with distractions, challenges, noise, and conflict. Everywhere we turn, there is something trying to steal our peace. The next deadline, the next argument, the next problem that demands our attention. And as the world continues to push, we often find ourselves running, scrambling, trying to hold on, desperate to find a moment of calm, of stillness. But here's the truth. Peace doesn't come when the world stops spinning. It doesn't come when all the problems are solved. No, peace comes when you stop spinning, when you decide in the midst of the chaos to stand firm within yourself. Now, it's easy to say these things, but it's far more challenging to practice them. After all, how do you find peace in a world that seems so bent on stirring the pot? How do you calm the storm within when the world outside is so loud, so overwhelming, so demanding? The answer lies in the ability to control one thing, and that is yourself, self-control. It's an often overlooked concept, but it is the bedrock of peace. You cannot achieve peace until you learn to control your own mind, your own reactions, your own emotions. And I'm not talking about suppressing your feelings or pretending everything is okay when it's not. That's not peace, that's avoidance. True peace comes when you acknowledge your emotions, your fears, your anxieties, your anger, and choose not to let them dominate your actions. It comes when you understand that your feelings, however strong they may be, are not you. You are not the sum of your emotions or circumstances. You are something deeper, something more resilient, and something more capable of remaining steadfast in the face of difficulty. This is where the power of mindfulness and reflection comes into play. Peace isn't something that just happens to you. It's something you cultivate through practice, through conscious effort. When you wake up in the morning, the first thing you must do is center yourself. Before diving into the rush of the day, take a moment to be still, to breathe, to center your thoughts. Your mind will undoubtedly try to pull you into the chaos of the day ahead, but you must resist that pull. Take a few deep breaths, ground yourself in the present moment, and remind yourself that your peace is not dependent on external factors. It comes from within. This is not about ignoring the realities of the world around you, but rather acknowledging that while you cannot control what happens out there, you can control how you respond to it. This is where many people fail. They look for peace outside of themselves. They believe that once they have the perfect job, the perfect relationship, or the perfect set of circumstances, they will finally be at peace. But the truth is, those things don't bring peace. They bring temporary relief, perhaps, or distraction, but not peace. Peace comes when you are at peace with yourself, when you can sit in the stillness and know that no matter what happens, you are okay, you are enough. You have the strength to handle what comes. I'll tell you something else. Peace doesn't mean the absence of conflict. This is another misunderstanding that many people have. They think peace means the absence of problems, the absence of tension, the absence of stress. But peace is not the absence of those things. Peace is the ability to find calm within them. Peace is not about avoiding discomfort. It's about learning how to navigate through it. It's about standing firm in the face of chaos and saying, I will not be moved. I will not be shaken. The world may spin wildly around you, but you in the center of that storm remain rooted, unflinching. There's also an important distinction here between peace and passivity. Some people in their search for peace may take the path of least resistance. They may withdraw from the world, retreating into isolation or apathy in an attempt to avoid the difficulties of life. But that's not peace, that's escape. True peace is not about running away from life's problems, it's about confronting them head on, but doing so with a sense of clarity, calmness, and purpose. You engage with the world, but you do so from a place of inner strength and equanimity. So how do you achieve this inner peace? The key lies in developing a sense of acceptance and understanding. You have to accept that life is unpredictable, that it will throw curveballs at you when you least expect it, that you will encounter setbacks and failures along the way. And most importantly, you have to accept that you cannot control everything. You cannot control the actions of others. You cannot control the future, and you cannot always control your circumstances, but you can control your response. And that is where peace begins. It begins with acceptance, accepting that life is uncertain, that there will be difficulties, but that you have the capacity to handle them. When you stop fighting reality, when you stop trying to control things that are beyond your power, you free yourself to experience life as it is, not as you wish it to be. And in that acceptance, peace arises. Peace comes from understanding that while you may not have control over everything, you have control over how you respond to everything. This is where the practice of gratitude comes into play. Gratitude is one of the most powerful tools for cultivating inner peace. When you focus on what you have instead of what you don't have, when you focus on the things that are going right in your life rather than the things that are wrong, you shift your perspective. Gratitude grounds you. It brings you back to the present moment, and it reminds you that despite the challenges, you have much to be thankful for. So what does peace really look like? It looks like standing tall, no matter the circumstance. It looks like being in the midst of a storm, but not letting the storm shake you. It looks like a calmness that comes from knowing that in the grand scheme of things, you are always enough. You are always capable of facing what life brings. It's about being centered, being grounded, and having a sense of clarity that no external circumstance can disturb. As you continue on your journey of peace and resilience, remember this: peace is not something you wait for, it is something you create. It starts within you, in every moment, in every decision, and in every thought. You have the power to choose peace, and in doing so, you unlock the resilience to navigate whatever comes your way. Let's take a moment to consider something fundamental. Resilience is not about avoiding hardship. It's about how we respond to it. Life is filled with challenges, some small, others monumental, and if you think for a moment that you can escape the difficulties that come with being human, you're mistaken. You see, it's not the absence of problems that gives us strength, but the capacity to face them, to learn from them, and to rise above them. Resilience is the key to how we navigate this inevitable truth of life, that suffering is an inescapable part of our existence. And yet resilience is what enables us to transcend suffering, to make it a part of our journey rather than something that defeats us. You don't grow stronger by avoiding hardship, but by confronting it, by facing it head on, and by using it as a springboard for growth. Every struggle, every setback, and every obstacle presents us with an opportunity not just to survive, but to thrive. Let's think about this for a moment. When you encounter adversity, whether it's in your career, your relationships, your health, or your personal life, the temptation is often to give up. The temptation is to look at the problem, to get overwhelmed by the magnitude of it, and to assume that there's no way out. It feels easier to back away, to run, to escape, than it does to stay and face the challenge head on. But resilience teaches us that the path to growth lies not in running away from our difficulties, but in running toward them. It's in acknowledging the pain, the fear, and the uncertainty, and then deciding that we will not be broken by them. Think of resilience as the ability to bend without breaking. Life will hit you hard. It will test you, stretch you, push you to your limits, and when it does, you must be prepared to bend, to adapt, and to continue. When you face adversity with resilience, you aren't denying the reality of the difficulty, you are acknowledging it, understanding it, and then deciding that it will not define you. You don't let the adversity control you, you choose how to respond. You choose to stand tall, even when the weight of the world feels like it's bearing down on your shoulders. Resilience, however, is not something that just magically appears when you need it most. It's something that must be developed over time, through the repeated practice of confronting adversity and rising above it. Think of resilience as a muscle. It's not something that gets stronger by sitting idle. It gets stronger by being used, by being challenged. The more you face difficult situations, the more you stretch that muscle of resilience, and the more it grows. This means that every challenge you face, every obstacle, every failure, every hardship is an opportunity to build that muscle. It's a chance to expand your capacity for resilience, to reinforce your strength for the next challenge. And here's where things get really interesting. When we're facing adversity, we often want a quick fix. We want the pain to go away. We want the problem to be solved, the difficulty to be removed. But resilience teaches us that sometimes it's not about solving the problem or eliminating the pain. Sometimes it's about learning how to endure, how to persist, even when things seem impossible. Resilience is not just about getting through a tough time. It's about learning the lessons that are embedded within that tough time. It's about growing stronger, wiser, and more capable because of the challenges you face. You see, the reality is this: the difficult times in our lives are not random. They don't occur by accident. They come to us not because life is unfair, but because life is giving us an opportunity to grow. Hardships push us beyond our limits, testing our resolve and showing us what we're really made of. If we run from those difficulties, if we refuse to engage with them, we miss out on the growth that they offer. But if we face them, if we allow them to shape us, we come out the other side stronger and more resilient. And I know that this is not easy. I know that in the midst of the storm, it's hard to see any light at the end of the tunnel. When you're in the depths of despair, when everything seems like it's falling apart, it can be almost impossible to imagine a way through. But here's the thing: resilience is not about waiting for the storm to pass. It's about learning how to dance in the rain. It's about finding the courage to keep moving forward, even when it feels like everything is against you. It's about holding on to hope, even when hope seems fleeting. What's important to understand here is that resilience doesn't mean that you won't feel pain. It doesn't mean that you won't feel fear, frustration, or even hopelessness at times. It means that you don't let those feelings control you. You acknowledge them, but you don't let them dictate your action. You recognize that emotions are temporary, that difficulties are part of life's natural rhythm, and that you have the strength to move through them. Resilience is about understanding that life is not all highs and lows. It's a constant ebb and flow, and with each wave you learn how to ride. You learn how to navigate the rough seas, knowing that the calm will return. Let's also talk about the importance of perspective in building resilience. One of the most powerful ways to develop resilience is by shifting the way we view challenge. Instead of seeing adversity as something that's happening to you, try to see it as something that's happening for you. Every difficulty presents an opportunity for growth. Every setback is a chance to refine your skills, to build your character, to develop the mental and emotional toughness needed to face future challenges. The more you change your perspective on adversity, the more you'll find that challenges are not obstacles, but opportunity. I know that this might sound counterintuitive, especially when you're facing something difficult. It's easy to fall into the trap of feeling like life is unfair, or that you're being singled out by some cosmic force. But when you look at challenges with the mindset that they are shaping you, that they are part of the process of becoming who you are meant to be, you begin to see them in a different light. They're not the enemy, they're your teacher. And in the classroom of life, the most valuable lessons are often learned through hardship. As you move forward, remember this: resilience is not about being invincible. It's not about being impervious to pain. It's about accepting that life will test you and then choosing to rise anyway. It's about understanding that you don't have to have all the answers, that you don't have to be perfect, but that you can endure, you can keep going, you can stand up again after you've fallen. You can weather the storms, knowing that with every challenge you face, you become stronger, more capable, and more prepared for the next. So when life hits you with its inevitable difficulties, and it will, make no mistake, remember that resilience is not just about surviving, it's about thriving. It's about looking adversity in the face and saying, "You will not define me. I will rise above you. I will become better because of you." We often think of resilience as something that we achieve on our own, as though it's a personal trait that's cultivated through individual effort and strength. And to some extent, that's true. Resilience does come from within. But there is a critical component of resilience that many people overlook, and that is the support of others. Resilience is not a solitary endeavor. It is something that thrives when we are connected to the people around us, when we are able to lean on each other, share our struggles, and lift one another up. Think about this. When you face difficult times, who do you turn to? Who do you reach out to when the world feels heavy, when your burdens are too much to bear? It's not the person who isolates themselves and tries to carry everything alone that builds the greatest resilience. It's the person who knows how to ask for help, who understands the power of community, who knows that they are stronger when they are connected to others. And this is not just about asking for help when we're in trouble. It's about the ongoing act of building relationships, offering support, and forming a network of people who care. There's a profound truth in the saying, "It takes a village." No one achieves greatness in isolation. No one becomes resilient alone. While there may be moments where you have to stand firm on your own, true strength is often a product of the people around you. Resilience is a group effort. It is the result of mutual support, shared wisdom, and collective encouragement. This is not to say that resilience is about relying on others to solve your problems for you. It's not about expecting others to carry your load for you, but it's about understanding that you don't have to carry it alone. It's about knowing that there is a strength in unity, in community, and in shared experience. Life can feel incredibly isolating when we're going through tough times, and the natural instinct might be to withdraw, to shut others out, to suffer in silence. But isolation is often the enemy of resilience. The more we isolate ourselves, the harder it becomes to navigate life's challenges. When we are alone with our struggles, we can begin to feel like we're the only ones who are facing them, and that can lead to despair. But when we allow others in, when we let them see our vulnerability, when we share our difficulties with people we trust, we realize that we are not alone in our suffering. This is the power of community. Community doesn't mean that everyone will have the answers to your problem. It doesn't mean that your friends and family will always be able to solve your challenges, but it does mean that they will walk with you through them. It means that you don't have to face everything on your own. It means that there is a comfort in knowing that someone else understands, someone else cares, and that you are not navigating the storm by yourself. This is why it's so important to cultivate meaningful relationships. If you want to be resilient, you need people who will stand by you, who will encourage you when you're down, who will listen when you need to talk, and who will challenge you when you need to grow. These are the people who will remind you of your strength when you've forgotten it, who will push you forward when you want to give up, and who will celebrate your victories with you when you succeed. They are the people who will help you carry your burdens, not by taking them away, but by shouldering them with you, making them easier to bear. And let's not forget that resilience is a two-way street. It's not just about receiving support, it's also about giving. One of the most powerful ways to strengthen your own resilience is by offering it to others. When you are there for someone else, when you offer a listening ear, when you give your time and energy to help someone through their own struggles, you not only make them stronger, but you make yourself stronger too. Resilience grows when we lift each other up. It grows when we invest in others' well-being as much as we invest in our own. And this creates a network of support where everyone is better for it, where everyone benefits from the collective strength of the group. We must also acknowledge that resilience requires vulnerability. Now, that might sound contradictory. After all, isn't resilience about strength, about standing tall in the face of adversity? Yes, but true resilience also requires the courage to admit that we can't do everything on our own. It requires the willingness to be vulnerable enough to ask for help, to admit that we don't have all the answers, to open ourselves up to others and say, "I need you." This vulnerability is not a sign of weakness, it's a sign of strength. It takes courage to be vulnerable, to allow others into your struggles, to allow them to see your pain. But when you do, you invite in the possibility of healing, of support, of connection, and ultimately, of resilience. It's also worth noting that resilience is about sharing not just your struggles, but also your triumphs. When you're successful, when you've overcome a challenge, when you've reached a goal, it's essential to share that success with others. Success doesn't just belong to you, it belongs to everyone who supported you along the way. And by sharing your victories, you inspire others to keep going, to push through their own obstacles, and to know that they too can succeed. This is how resilience becomes contagious. When you rise, you lift others with you. And when they rise, they lift you in return. Consider the impact of a supportive family or a close-knit group of friends. When one person falls, the others catch them. When one person succeeds, the others celebrate. This mutual support doesn't just make us feel good, it strengthens us, makes us more resilient, more capable of dealing with the hardships of life. It reminds us that we are not isolated individuals, but interconnected human beings, each with the capacity to make the other strong. But resilience isn't just about immediate support, it's also about the long-term relationships we build over time. Resilience is not a sprint, it's a marathon. The people who will help you the most in life aren't necessarily the ones who offer a quick fix or a brief moment of support, but the ones who stick around, who walk beside you for the long haul. These are the people who will see you at your best and your worst, who will love you through your triumphs and your failures, and who will encourage you to keep going even when the road gets tough. And here's the important part. Building these relationships takes effort. It takes intentionality. It takes time. You don't build a strong support system overnight. You build it by being there for others, by offering your own strength, by being a source of stability and encouragement for those around you. In doing so, you create a foundation of trust and mutual respect that will sustain you through the toughest times. In the end, resilience is not about going it alone. It's about recognizing that you are part of something bigger, something stronger than yourself. It's about understanding that true strength is not just personal, but communal. And it's about having the courage to both give and receive support, knowing that through connection, through shared experience, we all become stronger. You don't have to face life's challenges alone. You never have to. And in the end, that's what makes you resilient. ChatGPT said, "There's a powerful truth that many people overlook in their pursuit of peace and resilience. You can't change the past, but you do have the power to shape your future. The present moment is the only time you truly have control over, and what you do with that moment, how you respond to the challenges, the struggles, and the opportunities it presents, ultimately determines your path forward." Life doesn't simply happen to us, it's a reflection of the choices we make, the actions we take, and the mindset we cultivate. You have more influence over your life than you might realize, and in the end, that's the key to creating the future you desire. The first thing we must understand about shaping our future is that it starts with how we view ourselves and our circumstances. If you go through life with the belief that things are simply happening to you, that you're a passive observer in your own story, then it becomes very difficult to take ownership of your life and your future. You will be at the mercy of external events, always reacting to whatever comes your way, rather than proactively shaping your destiny. But if you approach life with the understanding that you have the power to choose how you respond to everything, you unlock a tremendous amount of potential. This is not a matter of ignoring the harsh realities of life, but rather recognizing that your response to those realities is where your power lies. This idea of personal agency, of taking responsibility for your life, is the cornerstone of resilience. When life challenges you, as it inevitably will, you have a choice. You can either let that challenge define you, or you can define how you respond to it. You can either let it drag you down into despair, or you can rise to meet it, grow through it, and emerge strong. The way you approach the inevitable difficulties of life will determine whether they will break you or build you. Now, the challenges you face may feel overwhelming at times, and it's easy to fall into the trap of thinking that you're powerless, that you're stuck, that you can't move. But this is where the power of mindset comes in. The way you think about yourself and your circumstances plays a huge role in how you navigate life's challenge. If you see yourself as a victim, as someone who is constantly at the mercy of external circumstances, your future will be shaped by that mindset. But if you choose to see yourself as a person with the ability to rise above, to learn from hardship, to adapt and evolve, then you begin to take control of your life and shape your future. The next piece of this puzzle is the importance of setting clear, purposeful goals. Without a sense of direction, without a vision for where you want to go, it becomes incredibly easy to get lost in the day-to-day struggles, to become overwhelmed by the obstacles that arise. But when you have a clear purpose, when you know where you're headed and why, it becomes much easier to stay focused, to persevere, and to find the strength to keep moving forward, no matter what. Setting goals gives you a sense of purpose, a sense of meaning. It allows you to take control of your journey, rather than simply reacting to the events and circumstances that unfold. But these goals should not be arbitrary. They should be rooted in what truly matters to you. Too often we set goals based on societal expectations or external pressures, rather than what resonates deeply within us. And when our goals are not aligned with our true values, we often find ourselves pursuing things that don't bring us fulfillment, that don't contribute to our overall sense of well-being. So take a moment to reflect. What are the things that matter most to you? What do you want your life to stand for? What kind of person do you want to become? Your goals should be a reflection of these deep values, not just a checklist of things you think you should achieve. When your goals align with your core values, you'll find that your motivation to pursue them comes from a much deeper place, one that can sustain you through the inevitable challenges and setbacks. Another crucial aspect of shaping your future is the ability to embrace change. Life is always in motion. Things are constantly evolving, shifting, and transforming. And if you're holding on tightly to the past, if you're resistant to change, you will find it incredibly difficult to move forward. You cannot shape the future if you're constantly looking backward, if you're stuck in old patterns or ways of thinking that no longer serve you. The future is something that must be created, and to create it, you need to be willing to let go of the past and embrace the unknown. Now, that's not to say that the past doesn't matter. Our experiences shape us, they contribute to who we are today, and they provide us with valuable lessons. But there is a difference between learning from the past and being anchored to it. If you've made mistakes, if you've faced failures, if you've been hurt, those things don't define you unless you allow them to. You have the ability to choose how you move forward, and that choice is what shapes your future. Embracing change means being willing to step out of your comfort zone, to take risks, to try new things, and to learn from your experiences. Change can be uncomfortable, and it can be scary, but it's also where growth happens. Nothing great was ever achieved without change. Nothing remarkable was ever accomplished without the willingness to face uncertainty, to step into the unknown, and to grow through the process. But perhaps the most important factor in shaping your future is the ability to stay focused on what you can control rather than becoming overwhelmed by what you can't. Life is full of uncertainties, full of things that are beyond your control. You can't control other people, you can't control the future, and you certainly can't control every outcome. But what you can control is your attitude, your actions, and your mindset. When you focus on the things you can control and let go of the things you can't, you free yourself from the burden of unnecessary stress and anxiety. There will always be things that happen in life that you didn't plan for, that you didn't anticipate. There will always be challenges that seem insurmountable, obstacles that seem too great to overcome. But if you can learn to focus on what's within your power, your decisions, your responses, your mindset, then you will find that you have far more control over your future than you might have realized. You are the architect of your own destiny, and while you may not be able to predict every twist and turn, you have the power to decide how you respond to each moment. And remember, shaping your future doesn't mean you need to have everything figured out. It doesn't mean you need to know exactly where you'll be in 5 or 10 years. Life has a way of surprising us, of throwing in unexpected opportunities and challenges that we couldn't have predicted. What it does mean is that you need to stay true to your values, stay focused on your goals, and remain adaptable in the face of change. You don't need to have all the answers, but you do need to keep moving forward, keep striving, and keep believing that the best is yet to come. At the end of the day, the future is a reflection of your choices, your actions, and your mindset. You have the power to shape it. The question is, will you take control of your life, or will you let life happen to you? The answer is up to you. The future is yours to create.